Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui. Hey, I am back for another episode. Really excited about this one. Today, I get to interview Erica Sachse from New York. She's going to talk about her brokerage, about her business, and we're going to get into some new construction stuff and just about anything else you can think about in real estate. Erica, how are you? Erica, how are you?
I'm doing great. You and I were rocking our cowboy boots, so I'm having a great day.
Yes, we should have hit record at the very beginning, and people would have seen we were actually real fun people over here with part of our experience. How long you been an agent?
So I actually am not an agent. So my business partner, Alyssa, is an agent. She has been an agent for about 14 years. She started her career in New York, and I actually met her there. So our brokerage is unique because it is an integrated marketing and sales brokerage. So I run the marketing side. I actually started out with starting a marketing agency based in New York. Started working with Alyssa when she was an agent on her new development projects in New York. And we really saw the magic that happened while we combined the science of marketing with the art of brokering. And then we launched our own brokerage to offer those integrated marketing and sales services. So I'm coming at it from a bit of a different perspective because my entire world and my entire job and the marketing side of the team is all about how do we help our agents sell better, more efficiently, faster, for higher pricing. How do we help them negotiate? What tools are best for them? And so I'm really kind of an agent enabler, and Alyssa really kind of leads on the agent recruitment and negotiations and training.
Cool. What's your brokerage called?
Powered by DMT.
Powered. What does DMT stand for?
So originally we were DMT development marketing team, and we wanted to call the brokerage that because we were pretty sick and tired of these brokerages being all about themselves. Like a lot of the big name brokerages, they're all about branding themselves and not really about the projects. And we focus on new development projects. And so we wanted to go to our developers and say, hey, we become your development marketing team to do the marketing and sales. So development marketing team turned into DMT. And then we started in the New York market. We officially launched in South Florida in May of last year. And we expanded the brand into Powered by DMT because we really power our projects and we also empower our agents. So we let the brand of the project and the brand of the agents really become front and center versus the brokerage brand being front and center.
All right. So development marketing team, your developers first decided to transition over more. When did you start working with Alyssa?
I started working with Alyssa officially in like 2019. And we started working together actually through Snapchat. So this was like back when Snapchat was still super relevant for anyone over the age of 18. And I had a marketing agent. I have a marketing agency called Snap Listings, which actually really started on Snapchat. And we would work with agents in New York, and agents would come on the Snapchat account and they would show their listings in a really fun and interesting way. And they would get direct renters or buyers through Snapchat. And so Alyssa was one of the agents who would come on, and she would really focus on under $1 million listings in New York. And she had this like great presence. She really connected with buyers directly. She was great at educating. And so we started like working together that way. And then as I built out the marketing agency and moved away from Snapchat and really introduced a full marketing suite for digital advertising and creative and websites and engineering and CRM, she was really excited about applying those tools both to grow her own business as an agent as well as for the new development projects that she was representing in New York. So We really have been working together since 2019, but we officially joined forces in 2021, and now are and then expanded into Florida in last year in 2024.
Okay. So I'm a developer in Austin. I have a bunch of new home construction projects throughout the city, and one of our challenges. So there's been times we had our own brokerage, times we didn't, times that we're now trying to partner with different agents. And one of the things that I mean, didn't know anything about you guys before this started, but I think maybe I'm trying to decipher how it works or your difference. One of our challenges when agents and teams come and say, "Hey, let us be your agent." Like, we have a sales office, right? We've got a sales office, model home. We want people to be able to come in, and there's always this challenge of, will they be selling our product or someone else's? Will they bring the buyers to our product, or will they go somewhere else? And then it also seems like when it's new construction as a developer, we're wanting to market ourselves as developers, but each individual agent, when they put the sign up, it has their name on it, right? It says so and so with Compass or so and so with EXP, instead of with Velocite with our development brand. So is that kind of the challenge that you guys have tried to attract? So you'll go to developers that are building neighborhoods or building, I'm guessing in New York, it's mostly towers and bigger projects, and saying, "Hey, let us sell for you, but it's going to look like your project, not like our project."
Exactly. And so we mostly focus on condo towers. So our primary markets are New York and Miami, all the way up through Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach. And so the new construction there is mostly condo towers. So less so on the new development home projects. So what we do when we go to our developers, we say, "Hey, look, the marketing and sales process for new development condo is very bifurcated and siloed, where you have to work with a creative agency in order to create all the materials, like the brochures and the fact sheets and the emails and all the ads and the brand. And then you have to work with a media agency to do the digital media buying or the print media buying, whatever channels you're using in order to market the project. Then you have your sales team that does the selling and using all of these tools. You have your PR team that's doing the public relations. And then maybe you also have a tech team that's managing your CRM and your tech stack." And so what happens is that the developer has to work with 4 to 5 different groups in order to execute across one buyer journey, because ultimately the buyer is going to be introduced to the project at some point through some impression, whether it's through a digital ad or through signage or through their agent, all the way through close. And that's their buyer journey. But that buyer journey traditionally has been delivered by 4 or 5 different companies. And so it made things very slow. Like, developers were getting really frustrated because creative was taking too long, or the media agency didn't really understand the product or who the buyer market was. And then the sales team would be like, "Well, I can't sell because this brochure is terrible, or because my sales gallery doesn't have the right assets in it, or the videos don't work." And so there was no accountability, and all the different teams were blaming each other. And so what we do is we go to our developer and we say, "Look, we become basically your in-house marketing and sales team. So we're going to take care, and we are accountable for everything from first impression through close, so that if things aren't working, it's on us. There's no excuses." And the way that we can execute that is that we first start with, okay, who's our target market? Who is our buyer for this property? And then how can we build a brand, marketing materials, messaging around that buyer, so that so that the sales team is able to speak directly to that person and really bring them into this project, so that this project becomes the solution for what they're looking for. And when it comes to our agents, because we're integrated, our agents are part of that process from the beginning. So they're not, they are representing the project. They're representing the project. They're representing this inventory. This is all that they're selling. And they have the tools and the materials that they need in order to sell it, because they were part of the decision-making process. They were part of the build-out process of those marketing materials. And so when we go to our developers, we're really able to say, like, look, we move faster than any other team because we're doing everything in-house. You have better return on investment because you're not wasting money on creative that doesn't work or wasting money on ads that are not targeting the right people. And you're getting better return on investment and transparency through the process because we are, working directly for the developer to bring in leads, have those leads turn into appointments, have those appointments turn into offers, and then ultimately sales. And so for the developer, they're, really excited about that approach. And for our sales team, for them, this is fantastic because they are, they're the boots on the ground and they're able to say to their marketing team, hey, I'm having a really hard time moving the 2 bedrooms. And like, instead of then selling them a 2-bedroom somewhere else or selling them a 1-bedroom somewhere else, they can kind of come back to the marketing team and say, hey, we need some help with like, how are we going to position the 2 bedrooms, or how do we change the language so that we can move these 2 bedrooms to the buyers that are coming in. And the entire marketing and sales process is branded to the project, to the development. It's not branded as powered by DMT. Of course, the agents are, are part of our brokerage, but they are exclusively selling for the project. And that becomes, that is like their home and their baby.
Yeah. Especially when it's tougher to sell things, people are always very quick to blame someone else, right? Blame the market, blame the brochure, blame the staging, blame the construction process, blame the quality, everything. So I love the idea of a single point of accountability and what you guys are trying to create out there. And I think other agents in their worlds can try to create their own single source accountability with whatever they're using. Because even a most average agent doesn't take their own pictures. They hire someone else to take the pictures. Most average agent doesn't do their own ads if they're running ads. They have somebody else do it. Sometimes it's a transaction coordinator putting listing up. Sometimes it's the agent. So the single source accountability, I think, is a kind of a great concept that agents can use all over the place. So for developments, I've seen it happen 2 ways. Pay, right? I've seen it happen to where a developer says, and I guess really quick, how many like average units for like a condo project that you have?
Yeah, usually it's like minimum 50 condos, and then we have projects that are up to 400 condo units in the tower.
And what's the average price of a 50 unit in like one of those?
Yeah, they're like all average. It's on average, our inventory is 1.35 million. And it's ranging up to 7 million.
Oh, cool. So these are big projects. The really high price points. If you've got a hundred units that average $2 million, you're $200 million in revenue, or in sales. The commission, I'm sure percentages vary, but I've seen developers do 2 things. I've seen, especially smaller developers, hire a brokerage, hire a Compass, an EXP, a Keller Williams, and just pay them the full commission and say, you guys do everything. You guys do the ads, you do the sales and marketing, you put the signs up. But most developers want to have more hands-on in that process because they feel like, I don't know, they're going to trust it more. They're going to trust themselves. There's lots of reasons, I guess. Developers tend to be entrepreneurs, and most entrepreneurs are less likely to hire an agent. Most of them think that they can buy and sell themselves. And I've been guilty of that plenty of times. So sometimes it's hire an agent, pay them the full price, and you're trusting them to do everything that you're talking about here. And I've seen plenty of developers do that. I've also seen some that say, hey, the developer is actually going to pay for marketing. They're going to pay for advertising. They're going to build a model home. They're going to do that. And as a result, they're going to pay a smaller commission on the sales side to individual agents, because they're like, hey, if you're getting 50 listings out of this thing, the talk is, I shouldn't have to pay you 3% per transaction, especially because someone might walk in and now you've got 50 different units you can sell them, something like that. So how does it work commonly in New York for like, how do developers usually pay their agents? And then how does it work for you guys?
Yeah, so we've seen both. We've seen the most successful structure though is the second one, where the developer is working with us on the marketing side and, paying for the marketing, but the marketing is being informed by the boots on the ground experience of the agents and the sales team. And then the sales team is getting a commission. We're actually seeing that the commission for new development, though, is anywhere still between 2.5 to 3%. So the sales team isn't necessarily taking a haircut on the commission side. It's more that they're able to, they just have the tools and the assets in order to sell. Where we're seeing that, where that model doesn't work is when the absorption is too slow, where, the marketing and the sales has not been aligned. So these are more like projects that have been stalled. And so the developer has basically run out of funds for covering any of the marketing. And in addition to that, they're, pretty much they're on a shoestring on the commission side. So that in those scenarios, we have seen that the brokerage would need to then kind of take all of the costs, and they're really negotiating for a little bit of a higher split in order to cover that. But developers are not really as willing to even offer a bigger split because they've kind of been burned for a couple years. And so sorry.
We lost an ear.
We lost an ear. We usually come in the beginning. And so we're coming in and we're, kind of working with them on what's the marketing budget? How can we ensure that we're not going to exceed that marketing budget? Because that's, a big problem that we've seen is that marketing dollars are just wasted towards, channels or events or initiatives that didn't produce any return on investment. So how can we ensure that our marketing dollars are working for us, not against us? And then ensuring that our sales team has really clear performance targets so that if they're not reaching those performance targets, then we know why, and we can also make a change, whether that's a change in how they're selling or a change on the sales team, because not every agent might be right for that project. And we firmly believe in matching agents to the project that they're best suited to sell. And so we're very intentional about who we place on the project. And if that's not the right placement for them, then we're very comfortable switching and putting them on a different project that might be a better fit. So that model, whereby the developer is, involved on the marketing, paying for the marketing, and then also there is the commission on the sales. That's where we're seeing the most success, and we're able to sell faster that way. Ultimately, that's what developers want. The faster we can get to sell out, the better off we are.
So you guys are their one-stop shop. You're going to say, hey, here's our marketing proposal. That's a pass-through. You guys are going to pay for marketing as we go, whatever the fees are. They can spend X dollars, they can spend $100,000, they can spend $1 million. You're going to help them manage that process. They're going to pay for that direct. Plus, they're going to pay your agents a commission. Do most of the people that buy these condos come with a buyer's agent?
So in New York, we're seeing that it's about 50-50. So 50% of the buyers are coming direct and 50% are coming with a buyer's agent. In South Florida, that it's more of a 80% are coming with the buyer's agent and 20% are coming direct. It really kind of depends on who that buyer market is. So in South Florida, we have a much bigger international pool of buyers that are buying pre-construction new development. So we have buyers coming in from Argentina, from Brazil, from Colombia, and they like to work with a buyer's agent who is based in Miami and is able to do a lot more research and have a lot more on the ground experience, and then provide that information back to them because they're usually based in their home country. And so there's 30 to 40% of sales are coming from that market. And then you also have the local market, domestic and local to Florida. What's really interesting in the Florida market, which is very different from New York, is that in Florida you can buy pre-construction. So when you're buying pre-construction, you are able to get you're buying off the floor plan, you're buying off renders, you're buying off of the sales presentation. Yes, there's a sales gallery, but you're not actually seeing the building isn't built yet. And so what that gives buyers the opportunity to do is get the best pricing, because you're basically buying in like 2025 prices that are going to appreciate over the next 3 years, 4 years for when it's going to deliver. And then you have an inherent 20% upside just in like the value, because you bought in 2025, but then you're closing in 2028 or 29. And so there's like that. That's a big reason why buyers would do that. And then the other reason is because they want something new, and there is just the different projects are in different stages and life cycles. And like, this is the only way that they can buy new, because construction costs to knock down and rebuild a home are really high. Renovation costs are really high. So where I'm going with this is that for the buyer's agents in Florida, they really need to educate their buyers about the difference, the pros and cons between buying resale versus buying new construction versus buying pre-construction. So there's a lot more options, and that is that's kind of the role of the buyer's agent. And so the reason we see a lot more buyer's agents in the South Florida market is because the buyer's agent is educating the buyer about pre-construction. I don't think there's as much of an understanding about that opportunity, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in most of the U.S. So in New York, for example, you can't do that. You can't start selling until you've started construction. And so, whereas in Florida, you can start selling way before you've started construction. And so, yeah. And I think, and same thing in Texas. Like Texas, there's a pre-construction market, and in Colorado, there's a little bit of a pre-construction market, but it's a bit more regulated. So it's like a totally different buyer process.
Yeah. Our pre-construction down here is interesting because I think when it comes to our towers, so we have towers, we have condo communities, we have, if it's 50 units, 100 units, 500 units, if they're doing some really big stuff, those are, they're easier to sell on pre-construction. And I think with the sales pitch you just said, you're locking in prices today. You actually don't have to close on this thing until 3 or 4 years from now. And most people believe that real estate goes up in 3 to 4 years. And so the challenge is, you don't get to exactly see, they do model homes, they do visualizations, they try to tell you what the project is going to be. So they have no problem getting reservations, even hard deposit reservations on pre-construction. That's a 3 to 5 year project. Mm-hmm. We have a tougher time on our new homes that are like 6-month deliveries, because mm-hmm. when it's 6 months out, we don't want to give that huge of a discount, right? You don't want to take $300,000 off for them to reserve it, because the assumption is, well, I can't really sell it for 6 months anyway, and the market's not going to change that much in 6 months, or we'll just sell it when it's done. And then mm-hmm. also buyers on that side, they're like, well, I'll just wait till it's done. If there's no incentive, if there's no huge incentive for me to buy early, mm-hmm. then I'm going to wait till it's done so I can actually walk it and make sure. Plus we have really high inventory right now. So the development marketing, and pre-construction process, I think it is really interesting. And it's really, it's not every market has it, not every city has it, but for the people that do a good job at it, I see the value of that. Because when you sell out a project too, before you've even broken ground or halfway, it helps for better lending, everything mm-hmm. else. It really helps the developers manage their cash flow stuff. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and just ask you to put on your, I guess just your marketing hat in general. So we've got mm-hmm. agents out here. Some of them are going to become more interested in getting work from developers right now. And mm-hmm. I think what they're going to take out of what you said so far is try to be that all-in-one solution, try to market under the developer's name and not your own, try to make it about them and make it to be one single source of responsibility. And so I think there's opportunity to do that. I think one of the things that was surprising that you said is, hey, you can do that. You can have them pay for the marketing, be the guide, and still get paid a significant commission to sell their projects if you do a good job. I think most agents would be surprised by that. But you guys are doing all sorts of marketing. So if an agent is out there and they haven't really tried anything other than like MLS, what's the best bang for their buck? Because you guys are doing online ads, you're doing mailers, you're doing flyers. So if somebody has a limited budget or somewhat limited budget, where should they spend their dollar ads? And what's a common mistake people make when they do that?
Yeah, so the common mistake I think is having a blanket answer to that, because the first question that you need to ask as an agent when you're thinking about where to spend marketing dollars is, who is the buyer market? Like, who is my target market? Is this product that I am trying to sell for downsizers? Is it for families? Is it for singles? Is it for couples? Like, who is the buyer? Because that really then informs where you should be spending your money. So if you're trying to target, young families, and you're trying to target the moms of young families because you think that that's going to be who would be the right buyer for this, well, then I think then, looking at, okay, well, Facebook mom groups are still really big. Look, Instagram is huge for young moms, so that's like a great place to be putting your money. Then you and maybe you also want to do flyers for some of the older rental buildings where they're currently renting, and they are looking to buy their first home as a young family. So I think it's more around flipping it in terms of where do I spend my money. It's more, who is my buyer and where are they looking? Like, where are they researching? What channels are they in? And that's where you spend your money. And so if you're looking at downsizers, for example, like, if your target market is going to be, over 70 years old, maybe digital is not the right the right channel for you. And that's totally fine. There's print is still there's still great opportunities there. You still have great newsletters, you have magazines, you can still look into a lot of other channels. There are flyers and brochures. Like, there's still a lot of analog options for you. But the question is more like, who is your target market? And then what channels are they in? And I think that for new development, if you're going to be a new development agent, if you're an agent who really cares about the marketing strategy and really thinking through, who is my target market, and who is this buyer, and how can I connect with them? And, you have that creative edge, which there's a ton of agents who are like that, then new development is a great place for you, because you really do have to be kind of like selling the dream. Because either the product exists, it's brand new, or the product doesn't exist yet. It's 6 months out, it's 12 months out, it's 18 months out. And so you really need to be able to build a story and a narrative around why this is going to be the home of your dreams. And if that's exciting for you, then I think there's a ton of opportunity here. It's a very niche market. There's not a ton of competition because there's not a lot of there's not a lot of agents who specialize in new development. So there's kind of this opportunity for, if this is like something that you're interested in, to try it out and see if it's something that you can really excel in.
I think it's great advice when it comes to marketing. You can use that a couple different ways, right? So agents, if you've got an individual listing, right, that you have that's a premium listing somewhere, or if you're trying to list a development for a developer. So on the listing side, if you've got a listing and you're going to market it, first you want to say, who's the type of person that's going to move into this neighborhood? If it's and just go really deep. If it's a golf neighborhood, if it's a downtown skyrise, who else lives there right now? Because there's some towers in downtown Austin that have a bunch of young people that live there, and it's loud and fun. And there are some towers in downtown Austin that are very reserved and very quiet, and security and discretion is like the most important thing there. So you take your listing, figure out who is this going to be for, and then based on that, you say, how can I reach them? Is it going to be with mailers? Is it door knocking? Is it targeted? Is it online ads? Is it email? Is it phone calls? And so reverse engineering that way. And then I think for agents too that are new, that are trying to just build up their business to become a buyer's agent, right? So if you're just trying to figure out, how do I get more people, more customers on the buyer side, we can do the same thing that Erica just talked about and come up with your avatar for who is that sort of person that's going to be your client. Like, if you are an apartment locator, then it's going to be somebody of a certain age, probably 18 to 30, people that are moving into town, that want to be downtown, based on, or if you want to do, really, really high end luxury stuff, and that's where you're going. It's about dressing the part and how can you meet people and target those people. So figuring out your avatar, who is my avatar and where am I going to find them? And then spending your marketing dollars that way. Because you're right, a 70-year-old person is going to respond to a different level of marketing than a 20-year-old person. There's probably, even you joked about Snapchat at the beginning, but there's probably a buyer pool where Snapchat is the best way to reach them.
Absolutely. And
Yeah. I mean, I
Reddit.
still
I mean, we're like,
really,
yeah, totally. Cause like, okay, if you want to reach 30, 40-year-old men who have made a lot of money in crypto, maybe are kind of like techie, nerdy, financy bros, like where are they? They're in Reddit. And
that's
so
hilarious.
like, think
It's so
about it though.
real, but so
It's true.
real.
It's so real. It's
Yeah.
so real. Like, buyers are people. Like, they're people just like you. So, while they're not shopping for, their next home or thinking about their next home, they're living their life. They're online, they're meeting up with friends, they're going shopping, they're spending time with family, they're, on the internet. So it's like, okay, like where are they on the internet, or where are they, in terms of what places are they at? Like, I loved your golf community example. So if you have a listing in a golf community, well, that's easy. Like, you want a golfer, like your buyer prioritizes golf, or they really love having like a lot of open space and greenery and landscaping, and they enjoy that community aspect. Well, okay, so that means that you want to go to all the different all the golf stores that are in the area, see if you can put flyers there, see if you can do an event there, see if you can, is there a partnership opportunity? What about, the other golf clubs? Is there an opportunity to do that? So it's really kind of like using the buyer avatar, we call it a buyer persona, to figure out where you should be marketing and what type of messaging you should be doing. I also think that, now with the other thing with new development is that you really do have to understand your comps, and it's not just about pricing. So I think a lot of times when agents when agents get asked to do comps by either their seller or even their buyer that they're representing, they really just focus on historical pricing and what the unit traded at, what the house traded at, and looking at the hard numbers. And the truth is that it's not just about that. It's also looking at who are the people, like who are the people that are living in the building? Are they young and rowdy and like want a big lifestyle? Are they young families, and are they choosing this location? Did they trade on this house because it's right by an amazing elementary school? These are the types of things that you want to actually bring to your seller, or bring to your buyer and say like, hey, like these are the comps, but actually like you're nothing like these people, or you actually are like these people. And so that's why this could be a great option for you. But if you're nothing like these people, then is it really a comp? I don't know if it is, because then it's like, okay, well, where are people like your buyer buying? Like, what's important to them? Like, what is important to that buyer? And then where is that, set of priorities being expressed? What neighborhood, what building? That's kind of a different way of thinking about it, as opposed to just looking at straight pricing. And what we have found is that when you look at it, when you take a buyer first mentality, which is what we do, whether we're representing the development or representing a listing or representing the buyer, we take this buyer first mentality. And when you do that and you look at like them as a full person, and that has a full life and is making this massive decision, like buying real estate is the single biggest purchase you make in your life for most people. It's if you really look at it as, how can I make this, how can I have this purchase solve what your aspirations, solve your family needs, solve your lifestyle needs, then you find that there's less negotiation. We have found there's less negotiation. It's way faster to transact, and they end up paying more. So it's true. Like, it's, if you can deliver a solution for the full person, then people are willing. That's value, and buyers will pay for value. And so I think that there's just you can use comps as a way to bring in value and more of a full picture and a story of who is this right for, and then determine whether or not that's aligned with your listing or with your buyer.
It's a really interesting way to spin the comp idea, because I mean, comping in towers is hard anyway, because it's a sense of like, is this one a north facing, a south facing, an east or a west? Because every one of those is a different price. Well, this one is on the 30th floor and this one was on the 25th floor. So how much of a premium do you get for that view? Or this one is closer to the pool level and this one isn't. And so there's lots of ways that like comping is challenging to begin with. In the single family world, there'd be times you say, oh, we can't use that comp because that comp is from a 55 and older community, and this is just a regular one, or vice versa. Like comps that way don't flip. We were saying towers is the same way. You could have buildings right next to each other, but the amenities and the demographic are so different. Like that comp doesn't count over here because you would never move over there. That's a different sort of buyer. That's the reserved buyer that doesn't want, the fun and the loud. And this is where we have the fun and the loud and everything else. Lots of fun things to think about today. I could keep chatting with you for a while about some of the sales and marketing and what you have going on in New York is really intriguing to you, but we're starting to run out of time. But I know there are some agents that are going to want to reach out to you. They're going to want to reach out to you about New York real estate. They're going to want to maybe check out how they could do more stuff with what you guys are doing in Florida, maybe try to get on your team, send some referrals your way, or just ask you for some advice about stuff. What's the best way people can find you?
Yeah, so our website is poweredbydmt.com. My Instagram is at Erica Sachse, which we can probably.
I'll put the spelling in the show notes,
because it's an unexpected spelling, as Aaron learned. And then also please reach out to Alyssa. She's at Alyssa Soto Brody, and she really runs our sales team both in New York and Florida. And so we'd love to chat with you if you're interested in getting into new development. That's very much our bread and butter. That's our passion. That's our love. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out. Also, my email, erica@developmentmarketingteam.com.
All right. So Erica Sachse, or Erica at developmentmarketingteam.com. This was a ton of fun. Any last thoughts, last advice for any of our listeners?
I think I would just say, be curious. We have so many tools available to us now. I mean, I use ChatGPT every day, all day for everything. I think that ChatGPT has been amazing for kind of building context, building personas, building comps, but going deeper into it. And so, just be curious about, the world around your listings, about your buyers, about the new projects that are going up. The reason that I love new development is because it's really kind of the future of that neighborhood. So whether the project is being built in it'll be delivered in 6 months, or if it's delivered in 6 years, you're really part of building the fabric of the future of that area. And so curiosity is really important. Thinking about trends is really important. And we have so many more tools available to us now to get smart about it and to learn about it. So yeah, stay curious.
Yeah, stay curious. I love it. Well, listeners, hopefully you enjoyed me chatting with Erica as much as I did. I just got back from this event in Sacramento. As a result of that event, I released 10 more seats. We were sold out of our Austin Mastermind, but I just released 10 more seats of our Austin Mastermind end of February. If you guys are interested, now is the time. The website for that is realestaterockstarsmastermind.com. Erica told you how to go chat with her on Instagram or email. As always, if you want to chat with me, Instagram is my favorite place. If you just type in Aaron AM, it will find me because my name is common enough, and and somehow the algorithm just figures it out. So I'm at Aaron Amuchastegui at Instagram. Erica, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Real Estate Rockstars. Thanks for listening.